Hi guys, welcome to Saxon Academy in Los Angeles. My name is Colton. I'm here with the fabulous Allison Lyle. She's our creative director here in the Academy, doing a really cool 70s kind of shag haircut, which is great. I will be answering questions that you have, so please ask away. And we're also joined by a couple of our Cosmo students as well. So these guys will be watching and asking, so I hope you enjoy. We're going to review.
Hey guys, thank you to Hairbrain for having me today. It's great to share hair on this platform. This is my beautiful model, Brooke, and we're going to be doing, as Colton said, kind of a 70s inspired curly look. For Brooke, this is sort of her look. She's a photographer, she's a creative person, and she really wears this look really well. I think it goes great with her style. So what I've done so far in the interest of time is to work through the back and cut a little bit of that for you, and I'd like to show you what we've done so far. So being inspired by our latest collection, we've been working on a technique called reverse layering, which I think is an amazing technique because it's super salon friendly. It's a great way to put texture into the hair. As soon as we really believe in, technique and working with technique to texturize the hair, it's much easier to find what you've done before and work clean when you have that type of technique happening in the hair. So you have each section that's been cut a little bit longer than the one before. So I started by establishing the length, and then I've worked through using a graduated elevation, just letting the hair slip out from the fingers. So it's 1 finger's length longer than the hair before. And as you can see my section here, I have a finger's length section. So that helps give you consistency. So each one I've worked up in that same manner, finger's length sections right up to the crown. So I'll be finishing my last section and then we'll get into the front and I'll show you the sectioning pattern from there.
Travis says hi.
Hey Travis. We've been watching you too. Thanks for joining.
Sophia's watching.
Sophia.
Sophia said you're a hair goddess.
Thanks, Sophia. So are you. I think this technique could be great done on dry hair as well. It's a great technique for straight hair, really any length of hair. I love the way it looks on curly hair because it gives this expanded kind of texture to the hair. And if you guys are familiar with any of our streaming, we show our looks of our collections and our classic techniques on the streaming. You can see these looks done from the collections. They've evolved kind of each one a little bit into these different panels of layers. And this one is one that they've actually done on dry hair there. And when you do it with dry hair, you can really see how the hair slips out from your fingers. When I work with curly hair, I do like to kind of just check each time I go that I've got the length where I want it. Yeah? So we'll let this kind of dry off in the back so that you can see what that shape is doing to Brooke's hair. So I wanted to talk a little bit. I invited these lovely cosmetology students here today. These are very special students to us, Kathleen and Sung. They're going to be graduating soon, and they've gone through a 10-month program here. In cosmetology, I love teaching all of the courses here. I find being a teacher, so inspiring at every level. But what I really love is to see how they grow from the beginning of not really knowing much about hair oftentimes. So we're having a cosmetology open house tomorrow. So if anybody's in the area, in the Los Angeles area, or can get here quickly, we are going to be doing our best cosmetology open house I think that we've ever had. We're going to do some exciting new things. And so people can come and check out what we offer in that program. We also do something really special because I know a lot of you guys, probably most of you guys, are all hairstylists. We offer education, Sassoon education, if you ever know anyone that wants to come and be a cosmetologist, because most of the people that we get are referred by hairstylists. So we do thousands of student dollars of education when you refer someone to our cosmetology program. So this is going to be my next sectioning here for Brooke. So what I'm working with is the bone structure, looking at the density of the hair, and thinking about the length that's going to be suitable for her. So my plan for these next 3 panels is to work in the same manner with the reverse layering, starting with the fringe. Her length in the fringe is kind of where it should be. We're going to bring it up just a little bit shorter, and then each panel will be a finger's length longer.
So Allison, we have a question. Would you consider this layering or graduation, or is it a combination of both?
Good question. It's a combination of both, and I think when you're working a little bit more creatively like this with this connection, you really want to think about just why you're doing it and what you want the look to be. So through the back, I worked with graduation elevation so that I kept a little bit of weight to the hair. Each of those sections I just lifted up slightly just to soften it, so it was kind of a mix of the elevation of graduation and layer. I hope that answers your question.
So then for people that have just joined, your sections in the back, are they more horizontal or vertical? Someone's asking.
Great. Great questions, thank you. So I worked with horizontal sections through the back, just to kind of keep it simple and fit into the head shape. Maybe with a tiny bit of an angle just to follow the curvature of the head. So I want this to have a rounded look. So holding the fingers square will give you a rounded shape, following the shape of the hairline. I'm just standing in the front for this part just to make sure that I get the weight to the hair because she has finer density around the fringe area, and then I'm going to lift up to soften that. And keeping my fingers flat here also will retain that rounded shape. So we're going to continue in the manner of fingers with sections. So we should get probably about 3 or 4 sections there. Fingers or thumbs are good for that.
If you have big fingers.
Yeah, I mean, fingers, the size changes, right?
Bony fingers.
Use a pinky if your fingers are bigger, depending on the hair. So then we can see here that the hair is falling away. So sometimes I'll just do a little pass over what I think, just to see that I'm ensuring that that length is dropping away, and then just lifting straight up.
So do you typically work fringes in a similar manner, or do you work any texturizing techniques when the hair is dry?
Yeah, I do. I love a bit of texturizing in hair, but what I find is good is to use a technique for it, because it's sometimes easier to find that and recreate that again. You can give it structure also and then deconstruct it, I think. So I do like to work fringes from behind like this because I find that it gives it a nice soft kind of graduated or diffused look, and it's easier to stand behind and lift it up and away. And then that way you don't get kind of in the way of the legs and the face. You're just free to lift higher and higher. So Gina's done some nice color here. Brooke was wishing to go lighter this time. So she's going to come, she's one of our fabulous color instructors here at the Academy. She's going to come and join us in a little while and talk about the technique that she did and the formulation for Brooke. So it gives you these little almost steps in the hair, but because of the elevation, you don't see it. It just lays in softly, so it gives it that look of texturizing. And it can work well on fine hair or thick hair. With thick hair, it can really make it just kind of hug the head shape more, where you don't really have to feel like you have to do so much texturizing to take the bulk away.
What about straight hair versus wavy hair?
Straight hair versus wavy hair. For this kind of a technique, I think it's great for both. If you take a peek at our streaming of our DVDs, you'll see them do this on straight hair. And that way you can really see the hair slipping away, but the effect of it is similar. It gives texture to the hair and a lightness to the hair. So from here, we're going to work into these side panels. And so I'm going to establish the length, looking at the length that I have here, and then each one will become longer towards the crown.
So with each section getting longer, the amount of space you put in between each section, is that always the same, or does that change?
Those are great questions, thank you. I think it would depend on the density of hair and the amount of texture that you want, really. So I would keep them about that length so that they kind of meld in and are more invisible looking, but you can certainly play around with the difference in the size of the section. You can also do this just on, you know, a little part of a haircut. So last week, Hairbrain was lovely being here with us, and Tracy did a great little look on short hair where she worked this technique from the back to the front, creating more length towards the front. And that was kind of, she said, inspired by something that I had done on a barbering. So, you know, you can do it on the whole head, but you can also do it in just little areas of the head. So it's giving you that texture with maybe a more classic technique as the base of the haircut or on the underneath.
So we have a great question about this technique, the reverse layering technique. Would the look be very different if you didn't work reverse layers, if you connected everything?
No, I don't think it would be too much different. This is something that's inspired by kind of a shag haircut, or if you guys are any Sassoonies out there, many of you know about a classic technique from our heritage called the shake. So you could do this technically working a round shape and working with layers and graduation. But this will give it a little bit of lightness and airiness and a little bit more of a texturized kind of feel, which I think sometimes with curly hair too. Curly hair doesn't really support the texturizing so much, so working with something technical I think can be really good to give that effect. Hi, Gina's here.
Alright, hi everybody. So I had the pleasure of coloring Brooke's hair today. We did a full head of highlights, and we used a very classic Sassoon technique. We used slices around the perimeter to give her a little bit of a lighter hazelnutty kind of golden brown pop off of her natural dark brunette. And then through the top, we utilized some really soft weaves and kept everything a little bit softer through the crown area. So for the formulation, for anyone who's interested, we didn't use any bleach on Brooke today. We did a high lift with 40 volume for our lighter tone. And then, wow, I'm winded. I just went up the stairs. I'm so sorry.
A lot of stairs here in school.
We're all downstairs watching you guys from the classroom. So we did a high lift, and then we also used a level 10 natural tone in Illumina, Wella Illumina, which gives a really soft, beautiful, sheer final look. And then through the crown area, we used a 9 and a 10. So we kept the same 10 and then just exchanged the high lift for a level 9 violet tone, keeping it in the Illumina family, just nice and natural color. And I can't wait to see it. So thank you.
Thanks, Gina. I'll post the formula in the comments as well for those of you that are interested.
All right, guys, so just finishing up this side, then we'll work into the other side in the same manner. And I'll just show you the effect that we've created here. Okay, so now into the other side, I'll find those sections again with my finger's width.
Getting lots of hellos. Hello from Nicholas from France.
Hi, Nicholas from France. What time is it in France?
Tammy says hi.
You're up
Allison.
late. Hi. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. So if anyone is just joining us, we're doing a little layered kind of look here on Brooke using disconnected panels of layers, which through our evolution of collections, this one is a reverse layering technique. So working with fingers width sections and then about a finger's length's difference between the lengths. So it gives you a look of texturizing without texturizing the hair. It gives a lightness and airiness to the hair. It can be done on many different lengths of hair. We have another thing that's going to be pretty cool that's coming up in the new year. We'll be putting out some stuff about it in the near future. We have our big show here on the West Coast in Long Beach, the ISSY show. So we just had a really exciting month here in November where we had our master class where we introduced the collection to North America. And so now we're going to be bringing that there. And then pretty soon we'll have another collection coming right after that. So that'll be our final show of the Odyssey collection, which is a super fun collection. Definitely really 70s disco inspired. So I thought this was perfect for this look that Brooke was desiring.
Yeah, with all her inspiration. It's really good.
Yeah, so Brooke sent me some photos for inspiration, which I put up here. So if Brandy gets a chance to show you guys the formula or anything, you can kind of see what we were working from. I posted it in my story on Instagram also.
That's a cool look. Gucci look last year. It's great to work with your models like that, right? You can just work together on a look. It doesn't have to be something so specific.
Yeah, I mean, I love to see photos. I don't know about you guys out there watching or you guys, but I think a photo is really helpful. You know, just talking to the person, getting to know the person. But I think that you want to really think about suitability as a look that's right for the person. Maybe not so much, you know, the shape of the face, you know, or different proportions. Those things are all important, but I think just really the style of the person and how they're going to wear the hair.
All right, we have a question from Janika. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but who just joined about how you determine the lengths of proportions that you're choosing.
Thank Thanks, Janika, for the question. So deciding the proportions, I think, really depends on the overall length, the bone structure, the texture of the hair, and the desired look. So I think for Brooke, what I really wanted to do was, she looks great with, she's always had kind of some different, since I've known her, some different lengths and looks like this, and I think she can wear all of those. But I think for her, what's nice is to keep the texture of her hair, to not go too short, and to kind of fill in this area for her. So then working with the length of the fringe that I think suits her face, we worked with that kind of length overall in mind, and something that's going to really showcase the texture in her hair and accentuate it, because it's so beautiful. So I have about one more section here, I think, just to check in through the crown, and then I'll check her length through the front, because that hasn't been touched yet. I want to keep this more of a rounded shape all around, and right now it's kind of falling a little bit long towards the front. So we'll work here through the crown. Wanted to let the hair dry off as I'm working. I might use a little bit more water as I'm working in most cases, but I would like you guys to kind of see how her curl is developing and how the shape is developing. And then we'll post the final look.
Also, would you recommend this style for curly haired clients? Is this curly hair friendly?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've got curly hair right here, and I think it's going to be great for her. It can be any length, and really I think any kind of curl. It can be great for that very, very curly hair that's quite thick, because you break it up and give it a lighter, airier kind of feel. Okay. So we'll just wet it a little bit so that we can work with the length in the front, and then we'll apply some product. And I'll show you how I apply that before diffusing.
And then, yeah, for people that have just joined, would this work on straight hair as well? I know you've talked about that.
Yeah, thanks for joining, guys. Yeah, for sure. I think any kind of hair texture this can be great for. What you're going to get and what you're going to see more with straight hair is a looser, kind of shaggier kind of look. And with the curly hair, it just gives it a lighter, more airy sort of vibe. Have you guys gotten to practice some of these looks from the collection so far?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So we really start with foundation, right? In cosmetology, that's so important. And then you take those foundations and push those boundaries into working more creatively. So they get a really great, I think, kind of varied experience throughout the cosmetology program here, especially as they're coming now to their graduation soon. All right. So we're gonna apply some product for Brooke, and I would like to work with the product on more dry hair because I'd like to not really water down the product too much with the water. So I'll apply it through with these curved sections that work around the hairline, just really working with the rounded shape of the haircut. And I have a product that I really like that is a soft kind of moisturizing cream.
The elusive whipped cream. You can never get enough of that stuff.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite products here, I think. So applying the product and then combing it through. You can do a couple of things when working like this. You can take the hair and you can twist it. like a ribboning look. You can also take this and just comb it and push it into place and work with the natural curl pattern. And the more lift that you want, the more you can comb up, away from the roots, and the less combing down.
I think it's great to show combing with styling curly hair, because I think a lot of people, there's a misconception out there, I think that if you comb it, it'll just go straight or something. But it just gets messy if you don't comb it.
Yeah, I mean, there's millions of kinds of curly hair out there. We were talking, Brooke used to straighten her hair all the time. She's embraced it now. She's very low maintenance. She doesn't do any blow drying really or anything. And her hair looks great when it's naturally dried. But the preparation is really key, I think, and applying the right product. Patience. Patience is pretty hard, I think, when working with curly hair. And there's millions of kinds of hair that's wavy, curly, and how people like to wear it as well. Which actually brings me to a thought of a cool course that we have coming up. And I'm not sure exactly the date right now in my mind, but Tracy Sakasitz, who's our North American creative director, is going to be doing for the first time a texture course. So it's going to be really cool. All different kinds of texture. 2-day course here in Santa Monica. Colton, you're teaching a cool course next week, right?
Yeah, next week we have a trilogy course, which is kind of, I call it like a drive-by of Sassoon cutting techniques. We cover women's classic cutting, men's, there's a day of men's as well, and salon creative work. And we end on some really fun collection stuff like this.
Yeah, we're kind of breaking that class up into days, right?
Yeah, it's available if anybody is interested in a one-day course. We have our trilogy course next week. Yeah, if you want to just come take the men's day, you can just come take the men's day. If you want to come take the collection day or the salon creative day or the classic women's day, you can just come take that day and that part of trilogy if you prefer. So you don't have to commit to the whole 5 days if that doesn't suit your schedule. You can just come in for the one day. So if you need to fit in a last minute one-day course before the holidays, then we've got you covered next week.
Yeah, super cool. Just get a little bit of a taste.
Yeah, for sure. Take a cruise real quick.
Well, it's a great idea, I think, because, you know, it's hard sometimes to commit to, you know, a week-long course. I think those are so beneficial because you really get to experience a lot of different things, but to come in for a day or two, it's amazing. So I just work around in those curved sections, working into the back. And then I have been lifting it just a little bit so that I get a little bit of volume. Yeah?
Right, Allison, we got a couple of good questions coming in with styling.
Cool.
For Joey, I have new curls since chemo and I struggle with it and nearly ended up with dreadlocks in the back recently. Any advice about maybe the right product and setting the hair? Also a question, could you set this on rollers?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't work with rollers very often. I don't have so much experience with that, but I think that you could totally do that. You just get a little bit of movement to the hair with the different panels of layers. As far as the other question, I find that I like kind of a moisturizing type of product a lot for curly hair. So something that it depends on the type of hair that you have. You may want something with a little bit more hold. But this whipped cream is an amazing product that works on all different textures and densities of hair and different types of curl. You can actually use this to blow dry hair straight too.
It's great on bleached hair, I find. Just to
give the hair some love.
How do you feel about oils on curly hair?
Yeah, I think oil is good. A little bit of a mixture of a cocktail of products can be good. It depends on what color services may have been done, and again, you know, the porosity of hair and density of hair, type of curl that you're working on.
Like oils can coat kind of sometimes when you really need moisture.
It's like a little bit of a serum or something like that sometimes. So what we're going to do with Brooke's hair is after we diffuse it, I think, is maybe use a pick and kind of give it a little bit more of an editorial sort of feel. So we'll play around with it in the photos and try to take a couple different looks.
Alright, so then when you're diffusing it, what do you have to be careful of? Do you touch the hair? Do you not touch the hair?
There's like also the same. There's so many kinds of curly hair and the way that people like to see their hair. For me, I love big curly hair, but not everybody with curly hair likes that. So I think it depends on the tendency to frizz. Usually what we teach is to start out with good preparation, good product, and then starting out with a high heat and low speed on the dryer and really not touching the hair. But the more that you want to have the hair bigger, the more you can touch. I think we kind of go with maybe like a 80% dry sort of rule and then start touching the hair. But I think if you wanted to have a more editorial look, and depending on the type of hair, you can start touching it right away.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks. You guys have great questions. A lot of curly hair. Good questions. All right, just coming into my last sections here. Just a little dot more product, and then we'll be finished setting the hair.
I actually do use that whipped cream at home, and sometimes I put like a sea salt spray.
Yeah.
But usually my hair, like Allison said, I'm pretty low maintenance. Pretty lucky that I don't have to play around with it a lot to get like that fullness. But yeah, I love that product. It's great.
Sounds like we're doing an
I
advertisement.
know.
But we love it. We love it. All right, guys. So I'll be diffusing Brooke's hair and then taking some photos and posting it in the comments. I really want to thank you guys for watching today, and thank you to Hairbrain for letting us share hair at the Academy. Thanks, Colton.